So I would say to anyone that's starting investing, or even from the agent side of things, there's always more things that you can do. There's always better ways to um, scale your business, so don't be afraid to go all in. I think that would be one of my biggest tips to people is you'll figure it out, right? I wouldn't encourage people to get over leveraged, but if the deals make sense, keep buying them, keep doing them, because you can always make the money back later. But once an opportunity is missed, it's hard, you can't go back and get that opportunity again. You got to go find another one.
Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
Welcome back to the Real Estate Pros podcast. I'm Kristen, and I'm here with James Shelby, who's an investor and a real estate agent out of Southern California. Thanks for being here, James.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
So you have such great knowledge being on sort of both ends of the coin here, being an investor and an agent, and you've identified really great markets to invest in. So we'll get into all of that. I'm excited, but to start out, how did you get into this industry?
I think it was back when I was buying my own first house back in 2013. And at that time I was in auto glass. I was doing auto glass, and, the market had just crashed essentially, or it was just about to start rebounding from the 08, 09 crash. And, I didn't know a lot at that time about the economy or housing, the market. I was just trying to survive. I had a kid really young, a child really young, and then I got married later on. And so, all I knew was just working to survive, so I wasn't paying much attention. I didn't have a lot of money. But somewhere along the line, I started kind of hearing things, headlines, and, this is a terrible economy. And I'm looking around at these houses that used to be, at least in the area I was living, they used to be, 500,000, and now they're, 180,000. And I'm like, maybe I should probably try to buy a house because I might not get another opportunity. So when I was trying to buy my first house, is kind of how I stumbled into real estate. I can give you the long version, but that's kind of the short version.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I mean, what about real estate was, obviously the opportunity just from a financial perspective, but what kept you in it?
Well, I don't know. What kept me in it? Yeah, I like the industry. It kind of hits all the buttons for me as far as matching my work to my personality. So it just kind of made sense. When I was looking for my house at that time, I was working with an agent, but she didn't live in my area. I was kind of a friend of a friend. And um, what I would do when I was out doing my job, you know, installing real estate at people's houses, I would drive through these neighborhoods and I would notice that these brand new houses, or maybe they were a few years old, there was so many of them that were unkempt and the yards were overgrown. And I would reach out to my agent. I would say, hey, do you know why these houses might be like this? And she'd say, hey, give me the address. And she'd look it up and say, hey, it's in foreclosure.
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
Maybe what you could do is knock on the door and see if they're maybe thinking about doing a short sale, and so I just would start talking to these random people for my agent, essentially, because she wasn't in the area, and that the rest is kind of history. She said you'd be good at this, so that's kind of how I stumbled into it. And what kept me into it was, it's a perfect match between stuff that I already naturally enjoy doing and then doing it to make some money.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned knocking on doors. I know that's a big strength of yours is networking and being able to put yourself out there. Can you talk about, because I think a lot of people are afraid of that part of the business. Can you talk about kind of your mentality with it?
Yeah, I think there's different types of networking. There's networking. Um, I don't even know if you would necessarily call this networking, but there's getting out there and talking to people face to face, whether it's door knocking or going into local businesses or local business meetups and things like that, where I would almost say that's obviously more kind of active prospecting, right? But then you've got networking where you've got people within your own industry, meetups and masterminds, and you know both of those types of networking are having conversations with people that could potentially help you increase your business, whether it's on the investment side, you know, talking to people about, hey, I'm always buying houses, I'm always looking for houses to buy, people talk, right? So from that perspective, and then on the flip side, I'm always looking for more people to help buy and sell real estate if you're on the agent side, right? So other agents from different areas throughout the nation can send you, referrals. And then when you're talking to obviously people out in the streets or other businesses, they've all got friends and families and coworkers looking to either buy or sell real estate. So it's important to get out and talk to people for sure.
Absolutely. What would you say to someone who kind of feels annoying doing it? Like they're bothering people?
Ultimately, I think despite what most people might think, most humans want to interact with other human beings, especially in the day and age where we're doing a lot of this, right? Where we're behind screens, which obviously there's nothing wrong with that, and it gives you the ability to reach a lot of people that maybe you wouldn't have otherwise been able to reach. But I think as we dive deeper into a digital age and an age of AI, people are going to crave more one-on-one, real human interaction, right? So I would say just try to keep in mind that number one, most people are open to having conversations, right? And number two, if you, especially during the prospecting side of things, when you're knocking on doors, if you genuinely have an approach that you are truly there to help people that need your service, right? Or on the investment side, right? You're truly there to help a homeowner that maybe is underwater, or they have a home that's in disarray, and then they don't even know where to start. I've run into a lot of people where they don't even know where to start. They want to sell their home, but they're embarrassed about it or this or that. So um, approaching the conversation with a genuine curiosity of, hey, how can I really help this person?
Mhm. Absolutely. Yeah. Providing value to people and not underestimating the value you can give to people. I think a lot of people, they just see themselves like, oh, I'm so annoying, but you're actually providing value.
100%. Yeah. I mean, you know when you actually need a service and there's someone there that can help you provide it to you.
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency, it's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
You don't get annoyed by that. You get annoyed when people approach you and you don't actually need the service. So that's another thing that I would keep in mind is, when you're out talking to people and you get that rejection or they seem a little irritated, they just don't need what you're offering in that moment, right? So you just don't take it personal. That's a big part of it.
Yeah, and life goes on if you get rejected. Rejection is not, the end of the world. So
No, not even close.
I'd love for you to talk about, I know with your investments, you're in Southern California, but you invest a lot in Montana. I would love to talk about that market, what makes it special and all that.
Yeah, I think people from Montana won't want me to say this, right? But it's a special place. I'm born and raised in Southern California, and I always looked at things. I'm 40 years old now, but I always looked at other people that moved to out of California, and I was kind of thought like, nothing is ever going to beat California or be better than California, and in some ways that still might be true, but over the last 4, 5, 6, 7 years, I think we've all seen a trend where people are moving out of highly populated areas to more rural and more, just places that feel like you can maybe uh, slow down a little bit, right? So, we're seeing the Ohio's, we're seeing, and affordability too, right? You're seeing the Texas, um, but I think Montana specifically for me, my parents ended up moving out there to kind of retire. And, the first or second time I went out there is pretty much hooked because it's just such a beautiful place, right? And I think for specifically the type of investments that I've been doing, both long-term and short-term rentals, it just made sense. But I will say, it's not cheap, like some of these other states where investors are flocking. And I think that's another reason why I kind of like it because it doesn't have the high highs as much as maybe a California, but it doesn't have the low lows either. And I think it's steadily growing, and it's a place that I think a lot of investors might want to take a second look at.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that, I'll ask the question, what would be some of the challenges of remote investing and what have been some of your tips to kind of do that more efficiently?
I think for challenges, I think Montana specifically, I'm kind of investing in the Bitterroot area of Montana, the Bitterroot Valley, and that's from like Missoula on down south through the 63 freeway. One of the challenges I think is there's not a whole lot of different industries there. So, rents are steady, but they're not skyrocketing. I mean, they've doubled over the last 5, 6 years, but I think they can only go up so far because there's not a lot of industry there. So while there is steady growth, it's not you're not going to get this flood of people moving there like you would in the Texas or some of these other states. So I think that's the biggest challenge, is just knowing that you're going to get steady appreciation, but you're not going to get this crazy influx of people moving there. It's going to be more steady. And then I think the second challenge is just like a lot of areas, you get a lot of people that don't want people moving in there, so dealing with people that have been there a while
Yeah.
I think you have to be cautious how you approach those conversations. You don't want to say, "Hey, I'm from California, or I'm from Florida, and I'm coming to buy up everything." You have to be very tactful.
Totally. I feel like a lot of this industry, it's about kind of how you're phrasing the opportunity to people or the situation to people. Uh,
Yeah,
like
100%.
the language you use really does matter.
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
Yes. Oh, that's a great point. You know, not only how you say things, but even what you say, both very, very important. And I
Yeah.
think sometimes that gets lost on people. You know, they have no tact.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, kind of going off of that, I think it'd be interesting to talk about AI and the implementation of that in your business. I know that that's something, you're both excited about, but also kind of see some threats there. But how do you kind of implement that into your business while still keeping your uniqueness and your tact and, what makes your original voice special?
Yeah, we're starting to a friend of mine, a partner of mine, we're starting to um experiment with some of the AI cold calling stuff, and it's scary, but it's exciting at the same time. I think, you know, it- I think that's a way that you can talk to a lot of people, reach a lot of people by a click of a button, So when it comes to acquisitions and finding deals, that's one that's already working for us. We're still, it takes some work to dial things in and work out some of the hiccups, but I think there's a window of opportunity there to use that AI, that portion of AI as a way to find deals
Yeah.
at a relatively inexpensive cost. So I'm excited about that. Um, you know, but also I don't know how long that window of opportunity will be there because, with rules and regulations and laws, I'm sure at some point you won't be able to do that anymore. But for now, it's exciting. And I think too, when we look at the big picture of real estate investing and home ownership in the nation, affordability has obviously been the big word over the last 3 years or so, where people just say, "Hey, it's unaffordable to purchase a home." And I think that if AI continues to grow and it continues to um, have the ability to do people's jobs, and you see some people losing their jobs, how is that going to affect home ownership? If a large portion of the population can't afford to buy a home because they lost their job, um, it's going to be interesting. I'm not going to sit here and pretend I have the answers or know exactly what's going to happen. It could go both ways, but it's going to be interesting to see how that AI affects every single aspect of our society moving forward, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a really good, you know, recap of both sides of it. I think a lot of people are a little nervous but at the same time, there is a big opportunity to help you scale your business and to be more efficient, which is,
Absolutely.
that's not a bad thing at all. So awesome. So thank you so much for, all of these tips and tricks. What would be some advice that you wish you learned earlier in your career, whether it be on the agent end or the investing end, that you can share with us?
Yeah, it's so tough because you don't know the future, right? So at least for me, everyone's personality is different, but for me, when it came to investing in, buying properties, buying stocks, buying crypto, and just investments as a whole, I was bold enough to do it because some people never do it, right? So I got to give myself some credit, but I always end up saying, man, I wish I would have bought more, or I wish I would have invested more. So I would say to anyone that's starting investing, or even from the agent side of things, there's always more things that you can do. There's always better ways to um, scale your business, so don't be afraid to go all in. I think that would be one of my biggest tips to people is you'll figure it out, right? I'm not, I wouldn't encourage people to get over leveraged, but if the deals make sense, keep buying them, keep doing them, because you can always make the money back later. But once an opportunity is missed, it's hard, you can't go back and get that opportunity again. You got to go find another one. So some of these opportunities are huge. And again, I just wish I would have went a little bigger on them.
Yeah. No, I think that's great advice. I think people, I mean, there's two sides of it. I think there's some people that aren't afraid for that, but I think that it is a little nerve-wracking starting out and people are extra cautious. So I think as you mentioned, like there is a fine line between that. You want to be cautious and you want to know what you're doing, but you can also take some calculated risks.
Yeah, and I think, I don't know, there's so many different, um, what's the word I'm looking for? Just everyone has different goals, right? And everyone has different strategies, and everyone has a different way of approaching things. So I guess, another thing I would say is that what success is to one person is not necessarily going to be success to another person. For some person, they might have 100 doors and they're not happy or satisfied, and for another person, they might have, you know, 10 paid off houses and just be happier than anyone else, because they've reached this goal of financial freedom. And I think that's another important thing to keep in mind or to figure out early is what am I doing all of this for? Whether you're just a real estate agent or whether you're an investor or both, or whatever industry, when you're setting these goals and like, okay, I'm going to buy 2 rental properties, or I want to reach a certain amount of doors, or I want to sell a certain amount of houses. Ask yourself why though. What's the end goal? Because if you do reach that goal, then what's next? What's the point? Because and what is the true goal behind the goal, right? If the goal is to sell 100 homes, why? Are you looking to get financially secure? Are you looking to buy a bigger house? Are you, what is the true meaning of what you're actually doing? Because, you know, almost every goal that I set out to reach, I've reached it. And sometimes, I sit back and think like, okay, well, now what? Like, am I happy? Is it really accomplishing what you set out to do or what you thought you would? Do you feel the way you thought you would once you got there? And sometimes less is more. Sometimes the more things I've had, the less happy I was. And sometimes when I'm in Montana in my little 1 bedroom short-term rental with a little fire going, I'm as happy as I could ever be. So I don't know. You get kind of have to understand, what are you doing it all for?
100%. I think that's such a good thing to end on because a lot of people get into the industry and they just want to make money or whatever it is. But it's really important to drill into why you're doing it, what's going to make you happy. Because as you say, you can just be on a hamster wheel, just, chase
Yes,
this elusive success your whole life.
100%. Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself. You're 100% right.
Incredible. Well, thank you so much for all of, your tips and tricks and perspective on the market. I think that people probably learned a lot from this. Tell people where to find you and how to work with you.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you having me on. So you can find me, primarily, I'm in that millennial age group, so I'm on Instagram the most, James_Shelby. If you search James Shelby, I should pop up. I have TikTok. I don't use it a whole lot. And then, I'm out here in Southern California, so if there's anything we can do to help anyone, uh, you know, I'm easy to find. You can Google me, you'll find me.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely. Thank you.
And thank you, everybody, for listening. Hope you got some inspiration for your own business, and we will see you back next time. Bye.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.